To represent spatial configurations related to notions of overlap and interlock, two operations were dissected within the multi-unit housing project. The transformation of two-dimensional tessellated figures in order to generate a series of distinct forms through the actions of hinging and rotating. Two types are produced that interlock in a repetitive and definitive manner, and further variations occur by challenging their orientation. The second operation, the intersection of self-similar figures, produces an aggregated triad. Initiating with the concept of a monolithic tower as a strategy for maximizing ground space, two copies of the primary volume hinge and rotate around the central element until a careful suspension is achieved. The three masses are then interlocked to create a single monolith that continues to articulate their individual presence.
204 units are stacked three-dimensionally, conforming to the outline of the massing triad. By packing the units to the perimeter, maximizing sunlight, a large void is created throughout the aggregate. The void is most significant around the intersections of the three towers, where the selective subtraction of units extends it to the exterior. The stack builds a total of 24 stories with large openings in the last few floors to fill the void with sunlight. The complete aggregate becomes a hollow mass, densely packed at its perimeter, but extending exterior space to the very center of the building.
Continuing on from the concept of the 2D tessellation, the three-dimensional form is rotated, mirrored, and stacked to achieve a tight packing of volumes. Units were selected and developed in order to better understand the potential interior relationships. Fundamentally, and similar to the conceptual origins of the project, the interior relationships of the units consist of diverging masses that encounter each other at one specific point. As a result, the living spaces are separated across two levels, and the circulation becomes fragmented. Rather than producing a continuous living space, it creates intersections that are densely packed. As a consequence of the actions performed on the building, outdoor spaces are generated, represented through the carved-out balconies. Although the interiors acquire a unique eccentric form through the aggregation and interior logic, the places where they meet, such as the balconies, remain seamless, concealing the figural language of the initial tessellations. Situated on the edge of Chinatown, the micro-unit housing complex promotes the inclusion of public space by manifesting a reduced footprint on the site. The ground level is seamlessly interconnected with the stepped forms of a public plaza and a retail area below. The residential areas, comprised of two-story units, are connected through the large void spaces.
5 shadow projection studies were taken at 30-minute intervals on a midsummer day. The overlapping projections created baselines from which a staggered ground was created and scattered with ramps and stairs. The first 7 floors of the building are serviced by 2 individual staircases, arranged in a double helix. They split on the 8th floor, where a secondary egress core branches out to accommodate the largest floors of the triad, while the main core extends across all 24 floors. Circulation to individual units is achieved through a network of walkways that flank the void walls. Alternating the access floor of the units significantly reduces the necessary number of walkways. In addition to the structural core, a steel lattice frame system populates the void, allowing load to travel through it and suspending the large overhangs. This frame was fit according to the outline of a 4th tower, which subsequently further shaped the void.
The skin of the building, a glossy white curtain wall system, relies on the finish of the materials to create distinction between the intersecting masses, the void spaces, and the units. The relationship between the large-scale massing and the small-scale unit strategy creates a series of void spaces that attempt to return the site to the public and establish a prominent relationship to outdoor space.